Hey guys, thanks for coming to our first foundations class. This is one of a series that we're going to be offering. I don't know how many series, but the first of every month, we're going to be really deep diving into some foundations. Now, we're keeping this short so that we're not having a whole lot of replay time and keeping you here at the Zoom, but you'll have the replay link and we'll have some resources for you to do some more study and research on your own once this class is over. So I'm Tina, and my journey with healthy living started about 9 years ago. I was having some pain and inflammation. The doctor said I had fibromyalgia. I didn't want to be on the stack of prescriptions that they were handed me. I saw addictions, and so I said no. And I just really started praying and trying to figure out what I could do to heal my body naturally. Now, at the time, I had no idea what a GMO is. Some of you may not know what a GMO is. I had no idea whatsoever why people are going in places like Whole Foods and spending lots of money on organic food. But I learned. I started watching documentaries. There's some great ones on Netflix or YouTube, and they're free. Things like Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, Hungry for Change, Seeds of Destruction. That's a really good one. Forks Over Knives. Gosh, I could list them. You just Google food documentaries and you'll learn like what is going on. Why are so many people sick? And why are there chronic illnesses that we're seeing today that we've not seen in previous generations? And so, whether you get down rabbit holes on the whys or not, I tend to believe that there is a reason why so much of our processed food in America in particularly, but worldwide, is so processed. It contains so many different things that are, preservatives, chemical things. Roundup, which is glyphosate, is in almost every packaged food. And if you're not buying organic, it's going to be on your produce. So there's so many things wrong with our food and it makes us sick. And then we end up going to the doctor who gives us those prescriptions. And so I see a lot of commercialism going on. I see a lot of people becoming customers of this system instead of finding true cures. And so I'm here to tell you that here it is, 9 years into this journey, and I have completely reversed autoimmune disease. I am a healthy person. I am not where I want to be ultimately, but I'm not where I used to be. And so people message me all the time. They're like, "Hey, Tina, what oil did you use for fibromyalgia?" And I'm like, so much more than that. So that's what these classes are going to be about, are those foundational choices. And it starts with, good clean food, good clean water. Like, what should your water source look like? How much water should you drink? By the way, it's about half of your body weight in ounces you should have every day. And I'm sorry, but you can't count your coffee and your tea, even the Young Living herbal teas, as part of your water intake. And the reason why is um, teas and coffees tend to be diuretic and they pull and dehydrate you. And so you need that half of your body weight in ounces of water on top of those other drinks that you enjoy throughout the day. So you look at inflammation. Inflammation is probably one of the very biggest root causes to most disease. So what are some inflammatory foods? Google these things. I did. You might have to duck, duck, go it because a lot of things keeps getting scrubbed, right? We see censorship on Facebook. We see censorship everywhere. And as Young Living people, we have had kind of a mask over our face as far as what we've been able to say for many years because that consumerism is pushing everybody towards a certain model, not towards the natural model. I learned when I went to Trinity School of Natural Health to get my certification in natural health professionalism. I learned that the history goes way back, all the way to like the formation of the AMA and the removal of natural medicine from our universities that teach how to become a doctor, right? They just don't know. And so it's not their fault. We need them, but we also know how to take care of our bodies. We want to get into a state of mind where it's not a pill for every ill. It's not a what's an oil for that. We want to look at the root things so that we can address those. And that way our oils will work better, our supplements will work better, we will feel better, and we'll actually overcome dis-ease. Okay, so I'm going to toss this over to Sherry. Sherry, are you there? I know she was on the road and she was going to have to pull over and talk to us.
I'm
And
here.
there you are. Okay, I'm just going to turn it over and silence myself and let you take over.
All right, you ready? Okay, so here I am pulled over off the interstate in a campground I've stayed at because I know there's good internet here. So here we are. So I get the super fun subject to talk to you guys today about poop. It's not something that I think people talk about often. It's kind of something that people, it's hush hush, whatever. Like, where are my I only poop at home people? Like, raise your hand. You don't like to go in public. Okay, so that was me, but I have been really working to change things in my thought process around this. But it's a really important subject because you guys, we all do it. And so I want to talk to you a little bit more about it because your poop that comes out of you is like a window into what is going on inside of you. And we have options and things to support ourselves. And so I want to share a little bit about that with you. So first of all, our bodies are like completely bombarded by toxins everywhere. We've got air pollution from planes and cars and factories and buses. We have pesticides, herbicides, we have pest control stuff, we have cleaners. When you go into a mall or a bathroom anymore, you are bombarded by like fragrance being sprayed everywhere in the airport, in hotels. So we are just being like bombarded with these toxins, and our body was created to eliminate these toxins. But sometimes it's so overwhelming that our systems get overloaded, and this sets us up to have an environment ripe for disease. So what can we do about that? Well, one of the things that we can do is our elimination pathways, right? And so there's an acronym for that covers all of them. It's called BOLS. It stands for bowels, urinary, lungs, lymph, and skin. So these are the pathways in our body that help us to remove and eliminate those toxins. But I'm going to dive into just the bowels for you today. So I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but your colon is like 5 to 6 feet long, and it's stretchy like a balloon. Okay. And it's funny because I know people who are like, oh, I'm so regular, I'm totally good, like I have my morning coffee and go to the bathroom, and they think that that makes them like normal, and like that they're eliminating normally. And I have to say, you guys, think about when a baby is born or you have a brand new puppy. They eat, they poop, they eat, they poop. Okay, so think about you now where you are. How often do you really eat then poop and eat then poop? Like, it starts in the beginning. Like, as soon as you're potty trained and you're with your mom in a store and you need to go to the bathroom, and she's like, oh, can you just hold it, right? And so then the holding begins. Or you go to school and you can't just get up and go to the bathroom when you need to, so you hold it. Or you're on an airplane, right, and you can't go, so you hold it. And then when you get to your hotel, you don't need to go anymore. So this is kind of how we start the process of backing up. But if you just think about one day's worth of food where you eat 3 meals a day, think about your mouth, all the food in, and then what came out. If it's not coming out, where is it going? It's sitting inside of you. Okay, so a couple of things I want to talk to you about is, number one, digestion. So optimal would be eating really good whole foods, not processed foods, organic foods. It would be great if you grew your own, but I know that that's not realistic. I eat out a lot, and so I know that I'm getting things like glyphosate in my food and chemical additives and colors, and I don't drink a diet drink, but yet artificial sugars and sweeteners shows up on my skin all the time. So it's coming from somewhere. So one of the things that you can do to help with your digestion would be to add in enzymes. So enzymes, you're born with some enzymes, and the rest you're supposed to get from your food. Okay, but our food doesn't have the enzymes in it like it once did. So we are really lacking in our enzymes, and enzymes are involved in practically every process in the body. They help to break down your food, and they help you to assimilate the nutrients that are in the food. So if you are not breaking down your food, you are like eliminating like pieces of food in your poop. So I said I was comfortable talking about this, and that's because I do something. I go to colonics, and if you're unfamiliar with colonics, look it up. Basically, they're cleaning you out with water and helping you to flush the stuff that's stuck inside of you. And when I very first started going to colonics, like I said, remember, it's a window into what's going on. She would be like, your poop is like rocks, which means dehydrated. And she said, you have undigested food particles in your food. So I made some changes since going to her, and I make sure that I use digestive enzymes, and I actually changed and went gluten-free, but she can see the differences when I go in. And if I have gotten off and I haven't been taking my supplements, she can totally tell. So it's a great like window. I can't see inside of me, but what comes out of me, I can see that it's working. So we have digestive enzymes with Young Living that you guys, if you are not using, you should totally be adding this to your regimen. So we have Essentialzyme, we have Essentialzyme 4, we have Allerzyme, we have Detoxzyme. And I think that a lot of people get hung up and they're not quite sure what they should be taking. So I go back and forth between Essentialzyme and Essentialzyme 4. It kind of just depends on what I have on hand. I keep some in my car so that I always have some with me when I go. But then the Allerzyme and the Detoxzyme, I think, is what trips people up. Let me go back one second. With Essentialzyme, not the 4, but the Essentialzyme, I know that there is a pancreas supporting piece to that supplement. So if you have blood sugar that fluctuates, that's a great enzyme for you. So Allerzyme thins mucus. It has bromelain in it. It breaks down starches. It breaks down gluten. It breaks down lactose. So if you're lactose intolerant, it's a great supplement enzyme to add, especially if you accidentally get some lactose. It helps to break down protein. So I personally take Allerzyme when I have eaten red meat, when I am experiencing allergies, and if I eat anything with gluten in, I make sure that I take Allerzyme. And then Detoxzyme is really good for, think about the very beginning of it, detox. So it's good for detoxing toxins and it's good for fats. And so I like to take Detoxzyme when I know I have eaten poorly, if I've eaten out. So I know that I have like glyphosate and stuff in my food. Once upon a time, Gary Young had a blog. It's really cleaned up from what it once was. And once in that blog, he talked about taking GLF, which I'm going to talk about in 1 second. And he talked about taking Detoxzyme. And he would take 15, okay, 15 at night. And if you saw Marcella Von Harding last year talk about Detoxzyme, she took a handful. So don't be afraid of the Detoxzyme adding in 5, 6, 7, 8 in the evening when you've eaten poorly. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is your liver. So your liver begins the process of bowel elimination. It breaks down the harmful substances that are in our meats, like hormones and the chemical additives in our food and more. And so if you can support your liver, this will help with your elimination through your bowels. So we have some great products for that. We have Juvatone. That's a supplement. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's an excellent supplement. We also have some oils. So we have Juvaflex, JuvaCleanse, and GLF, all excellent supporters of the liver. And going back to that blog post I just mentioned, Gary Young said that he would take a capsule full of GLF with 15 Detoxzyme, and in the morning, he'd hit the ground running. So some other tips for good bowel movements: to drink water. You should be drinking half of your body weight in water every day. And if you're dehydrated, your colon and your body is pulling the water out of your colon and in your poop, like to go use it because it doesn't have what it needs. So you need to hydrate. Eat high fiber foods. You need essential fatty acids, which we have in Omega Jives, because that helps to lubricate your intestines. If you struggle with going to the bathroom, if you know you're not regular, if you know that you're straining to poop, if you know that you are not constipated completely, but that you're not moving like you should, consider eliminating gluten or dairy from your diet and see if that makes a change. But we also have some great products in Young Living to help get things moving. So we have Comfortone. You guys, I take this with me when I travel. Like, I'm traveling right now. I took 2 last night. I took 1 today. So Comfortone is a great supplement, and also Mega-Cal. So I take Mega-Cal every night before I have a colonics appointment, and it makes a huge difference. It totally makes everything smoother, shall we say. So I like to mix Mega-Cal in my orange juice. I've heard people mix it in their water, but y'all, it tastes way better if you just mix it in a little bit of orange juice, stir it up, and down the hatch. That can help you soften things up and get things moving. And we also have ICP Daily, which has been reformulated. And let me just tell you, the ICP, if it stands for something else, I don't know, but we always say it stands for ICP, stands for IC poop. And ICP has things in it that are like scrubbers to help kind of scrub your walls, I guess, to loosen up the stuff that's getting stuck in there. So sorry, I'm trying to be fast. Tina has a Bristol stool chart. So this is something that you can use to analyze for yourself, to kind of look at, look in the toilet. What does it look like? So this can give you, like I said, a into what's going on inside of your body. If you look at this chart, go ahead and take a screenshot of it, take a picture of it, and save it. And then you can do your own diagnosis, I guess. So I want to close with just kind of giving you a little bit of a challenge, maybe, to ask you, what would it look like if you just incorporated some simple steps into your routine to help with your digestive system, with your bowels, to help move things out? And so my question to you is, how could your health improve if just for 6 months you incorporated enzymes with each one of your meals, or at least 1 or 2 meals a day? What if you chose one of those liver support options that I mentioned, whether it's to take the Juvitone at night, or maybe you just pop a roller fitment on some JuvaCleanse or JuvaFlex or even the GLF, and you just roll that over your liver every single day, once or twice a day. Maybe you get the Vitality version and you take a few drops in a capsule every day, and then you add drinking a half of your body weight into water. So that's my challenge to you, because I know that if you do those things in 3 to 6 months, you are going to see a huge difference in your overall health. So I'm tossing it to, I'm not sure who I'm tossing it to, but there you go.
Fantastic, Sherry. Awesome. We're tossing it to Amanda.
Okay, I'm up next. I was trying to work on my audio and it didn't work. Can you hear me okay? So I love that talk because I think it just shows us so much about how everything that we are doing makes this huge impact on our bodies. And I just want to kind of throw out a little challenge here for you for the next 20 minutes. Yeah, poop talks are awesome. So she gave you a challenge to try an enzyme for 6 months, try a liver supplement for 6 months. I'm going to give you a really quick, she's going to type it in the chat box, I think. Every time you hear somebody say the word drink your water today, take a drink. Because don't you think, like, doesn't that make you go, oh, drink my water? There is so much that we start in Young Living, and all of a sudden, drinking games all right, I move on. So we start Young Living and we think we're going to put an oil on and we're going to do something for our body, and we start this journey towards health. And so I just wanted to share really quick today a little bit about mine, just because the process for me was life-changing. So when I bought my kit, I didn't start for me, I started for my kids. And I started, then I did my husband, right? Anybody else in here try and fix everybody else first? Okay, so I'm trying to oil the kids, trying to oil my husband for his pain, separate call. And then I got to like, well, I do have allergies. And so I started using like lavender, like around my nose. And then this is before Vitality, I'd stick it in my mouth. And, they take these steps even in my little oily world. Like that was the only oil I had, was like what was in the starter kit, right? So then I start making the LLP, the lemon lavender peppermint capsule. I'm going to get to why this is foundational. And I could like get the symptoms under control. So where I was before Young Living, we would run to Sam's Club and we would buy like a double 2-pack of allergy medicine every day. And in addition to that, I was on prescription, not every day, a double 2-pack every trip, every month, 4 bottles every month on our once a month trip to Sam. And I was on prescription medicine. So I was already working on my inside with these medicines and taking all these capsules, and I would lie to my allergist about how much medicine I was taking to be functional. And I was doing all of these things to treat these symptoms. And I was like, oh, I got these oils. They say they work for XYZ. I started putting them on, sticking them in my mouth, swallowing them in a capsule. And I was doing the exact same thing I was doing with all the medicines I was taking. I was just treating a symptom, and they worked. Like I could go to my mom's and do the, sit by her dog, or I could go outside and be by the trees, or I could go clean my basement. Actually, I don't really want anything that adds that into my life as doable. But when I started making some foundational changes in Young Living, I started drinking the water. I added lemon to it and a little bit of a Himalayan sea salt. And then I started adding some of the supplements, just learning about them. So in my first month, I added Ningxia Red. That was the first thing I bought after I got my starter kit. Does anybody else here add Ningxia Red? I think it's just so foundational for everything. And I was like, oh, this is really, really good. So I learned about sulfurzyme and the red drink. Have you all heard about the red drink and sulfurzyme? Well, I got to tell you something. I do really good on the run because it disperses the Himalayan sea salt is a good mineral for you, and it disperses the lemon into the water. So it's not like right there when you do it. So I do horribly at mixing red drink. I mean, sometimes I'll do it for my kids, but I don't do it very well for me. I made capsule packet of Ninja Red Girl. But I want to share with you that I just made some simple foundational changes, and I realized I was not doing any lavender, lemon, peppermint anymore. And it really all of a sudden, like, you know, in the fall, I would get this times like when the crops come in and the mold off the corn comes. I live in Iowa. That's an allergen we have here. And I wasn't getting sick anymore. I wasn't having any reactions. I wasn't using the lavender. It had just really backed off. And I was increasing everything I could do in my entire life that had a allergic reaction. I learned that my body was actually becoming less reactive. And so I was telling Tina about this the other day. I used to welt up super, super big with bug bites. Does anybody else welt up really, really big with bug bites? Like they react and all of a sudden you get one mosquito bite and you look like you've been like shot with a paintball gun, right? Like just big red marks. And I realized I wasn't as reactive anymore because that was so terrible. In fact, if I drew a line like this down my arm, I could actually create a red welt on my own arm. And okay, so that was strange. Nobody else nodded for that one. Other people were nodding. You guys all practice this right now. Take a drink of water, scratch yourself, see if it welts up. But that was like how reactive I was. But what had happened by feeding my body good and starting with some of these foundational things, and I didn't know about Allerzyme. I was new to Young Living. I knew like you start with one thing and you start working your way through it, and then you add more. Do I love Allerzyme now? Yes. For my gut, does it help with my allergy stuff too? Probably. But I'm in such a better place because foundationally I've been treating my symptoms, treating my insides so that I don't have to treat symptoms anymore. So we just had a couple of minutes to share really quick today, but I just wanted to tell you, like once you start taking little tiny steps, and this is the foundation of it, switching your food over, which for me was sharing about Young Living and increasing my food budget. I don't want to, this is not a business call, but I had 14 kids at home when we started in Young Living and I couldn't afford good food. We fed them junky food because it filled tummies. Getting good healthy food, good water, drink up, and making some small changes every single time. Just try something new every single month and keep going with it has changed my life to the point where I can open my windows and not be sick from pollen. I can go camping or out on the lake, and I can also I have 2 dogs inside my house now, so if you're a pet lover, that was something we could never have done before Young Living. Also, I can now clean my basement. Not sure I'm counting that as a win, but I'm going to pass the torch here. Thanks for letting me talk.
All right, Teresa, thank you so much, Amanda. That was awesome.
Hey guys, I'm Teresa. Thanks for having me today. And I started with Young Living like 2015 after lung failure during 2013 to 2014. So in 2014, I decided to give up everything that was allopathic because I felt that my body was not responding well to that, and said, you know, I'm gonna wing it. If it's time, it's time. But in 2015, somebody introduced me to Young Living and my life has changed. I mean, I can go from being fearful of stepping outside because, you know, inhaling stuff, cannot breathe, cannot talk, cannot finish a sentence without coughing, to a 33-mile bike ride a couple of weeks ago. I mean, that is just life changing. So things I did discover, it's like I was not born to be, you know, to have asthma, to have breathing issues, to have allergies. So how did I get here, right? So you got to look at the root. This didn't happen overnight, just like being pregnant. That didn't happen overnight. That big bump on your tummy, it takes 9 months to gain that weight. It takes 9 months more to lose it, right? So what got me here? Along with that, I could not sleep for more than 3 hours straight every night and would just fall asleep out of sheer exhaustion because I'd be barking away. We didn't have dogs then, but there's like a dog in the house every day. So what was going on, right? So I'd fall asleep out of sheer fatigue and still wake up at about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. So there are all these things going on. And I just wanted to breathe. As soon as I got my kit, I could breathe better. And I started seeing my sleep improve as well. So looking into the oils and what they were doing got me down that rabbit hole. And who would have thought that liver, supporting our liver would actually help us supporting our respiratory system. So Amanda mentioned it, Tina mentioned it. Look for the liver, guys, because that's our filter. If you cannot get rid of the toxins in the body, if that is clogged, just like our sink drain, right? No amount of Thieves Kitchen scrub will do you good if that drain is clogged. So you gotta declog that. Clear the pathways. That's why BLM and Allerzyme were working, because you gotta clear the pathways where these toxins gonna pass. So interesting enough, our liver, okay, if you guys are familiar with the circadian rhythm and the traditional Chinese medicine, we have this body clock. So I'm gonna share something with you. Can I share my screen, Tina? So Amanda mentioned, I'm going to share with you a couple of things, like what I did. So Amanda mentioned, hold on, my screen. She mentioned lemon, lavender, and peppermint, right? And if you look during that time, everywhere we go on Pinterest, everybody's gonna say, oh, allergies, LLP, LLP. But a deeper look at LLP and other oils in the premium starter kit, I looked at frankincense. Why frankincense? Can anybody guess why frankincense? Or why copaiba even? Because I was thinking about it, I mean, what part of our body really controls our breathing? Everything starts with the brain, right? And if somebody cannot, it's like in a state of coma, what are they always supporting? If there's somebody who's brain dead, it's always the breathing. So why not start from the root, not just the lungs, because that's just a function, that's an organ that helps with the respiration, but the control for the breathing doesn't start there. So I started adding frankincense to this mix of LLP. And then I added copaiba to it, because looking at copaiba, it helps with what? Inflammation. And if there's something going on, allergies, asthma, you look at that gamut of 80 diagnoses that falls on the autoimmune spectrum, it always deals with inflammation. And everything that Tina and Amanda discussed as far as core health is dealing with lowering the inflammation levels in the body. So from the diet to cleaning the toxins and getting that out of the system. Now, when I looked at it even further, if you guys have the Releasing Emotional Patterns workbook, check out the emotional values of all of these oils. And this other book called Oils and Emotions. I was blown away looking at the emotional value. If you have this book, Emotional Healing with Essential Oils, I was blown away looking at the emotional value of all of these oils, because tracing back to the emotional state where I was then, I can spell it out here. Pick one, right? Because even, this may not be popular, right? But certain health organizations define health as not just the absence of a diagnosis or a prescription, but it refers to a balance in physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. So if we are not healthy in the emotional aspect, and if you look at it in a holistic point of view, we will expect the body to express certain medical diagnosis or physical dis-ease. So check your emotional state, and this is what I came up with. So this blend was really, really working for me, and not just for breathing, but it helped me with sleep. It helped me with digestive issues. Some people are saying this helps them with everything. Instead of just thieves, they bring this along, right? Now, let's take it to sleep, because if you don't sleep enough, we know what happens, right? We lack of focus, our hormones are off. What else? Our body doesn't go into that healing process. So in talking about sleep, if you kept a screenshot of that previous slide, cross-reference it with emotions that affect sleep. You will find that they have common stuff. A lot of, common ground there. So if you're actually using certain oils that you think are helping you breathe, you may actually be using oils that are helping you sleep. But the same oils may be supporting your liver as well, because check out your sleep patterns depending on what time you wake up. In my case, I was waking up at 3 o'clock. And between 1 to 3 o'clock, according to this Chinese body clock, and this is practiced by acupuncturists, traditional Chinese medicine practitioners, that is the time for a liver to heal, to detox. Okay, that's their cleaning hour. So if you are waking up at different times during the night, take note of what time, because that may be already a key as to what is going on inside, what part or what organ we need to support. Now, aside from sleep and aside from liver, of course, sleep is affected by our melatonin levels. Now, I used to take melatonin, the ones in the bottle, the ones from Costco or whatever health store. And then I realized melatonin is a hormone that's secreted by our pineal glands, right? We produce this naturally. If I'm getting it from a bottle thinking that it's the same name because it's melatonin, it's not just like some sleep aid, it's not value, it must be natural. Well, it can't be natural enough if it's not coming from inside our bodies. So what oils do we have or supplements do we have that can help increase our body's natural production of melatonin? At the same time, decalcify or detox our pineal gland, because all metals, toxins, chemicals, name it, glyphosate, everything that we have that's coming in through our food are actually wearing our pineal glands down. And if our pineal gland is worn down, we cannot produce enough melatonin and it will affect our sleep cycles. Other things that affect our sleep cycle would be exposure to light, especially blue light. So guys, this is like one of my favorite Young Living giveaways. Yes, if you can find the weighted ones, that's even better. Side effect of that, because I've got Asian lashes, they're straight, they're pointed out and they're straight. They actually curl them up. So yeah, right? So these guys are amazing to help with sleep as well, because anything that hits our body, the light that hits our body affects our melatonin production. So if you're exposed to a lot of blue light, watching TV, your gadgets, even your phones, turn them off. You can turn it off, face it down. Minimize the light that shines on your body. Teenagers right now, my kids have all these LED lights in their rooms. You can turn that off at night because that will affect their sleep patterns. Let me see. As far as supplements that we have, I'm going to go from oils. Oils that help production of melatonin are cedarwood. Lavender, while it helps other people relax, it doesn't have that melatonin production benefit, but they found it to have a certain effect that is very, very relaxing to the brain. That's why we tend to sleep. Our brain goes down to about the delta waves, the delta brainwaves, very, very slow. And we go through that cycle of alpha, beta, theta, delta throughout our 8 hours of sleep, every 90 to 100 minutes. So that is not something that is strange, that is normal. However, when we don't get down to that level of delta, then we don't have that deep sleep that the body needs to recover. So we need to have our minds relaxed and then also produce that melatonin that will bring it down really to that level. So some people are saying, okay, lavender wakes me up or peace and calming wakes me up, then you're not getting enough maybe melatonin. You may be relaxed, but you're not getting enough melatonin so that you're going to fall into that deep, deep state. Okay, there's so many supplements that we can use. ImmuPro, Sleep Essence, Vetiver on the big toe. Amanda also mentioned MegaCal. Okay, because aside from melatonin production, there are certain nutrients that have been found deficient in people who have insomnia or cannot sleep properly. These are like calcium, magnesium, Super B, and there's one more that I cannot remember, zinc. So that's another one. So having those nutrients and vitamins at proper levels will also help with proper sleep cycles. So again, those are all foundational. 3, I believe, are present in master formula. And of course, Ningxia Red. So supplement that with our Super B. That's really, really great. And those are my tips for today as far as foundational health. So I'm going to throw it to Ali.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much. I think you're still sharing your screen.
Okay.
Ali?
I'm here. I'm trying to switch here. There we go. Okay, so as a wrap, we will be continuing to follow up with more information every month with foundational help, or if you're watching this on the replay, make sure you watch the next recordings as we get into more details.